kick things off then, we're going to get Vue installed the simplest way possible, and that is using the Vue command line interface. So let's go ahead and take a look at how we get this set up. The first thing that you're going to do if you've never used this before is to install this globally. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and initialize a project with a specific template and then give it your project name. So we're going to use the Webpack template because it's pretty fully featured and has most of what we need here, including Vue router, which is really important because we're going to have different routes for our application. So I already have this installed, so I'm going to say Vue init, and I'm going to use the Webpack template, and I'm just going to call this hang with. That's just the project name that I've chosen. So that will download the template for us. We can give it a project name, a description. We can enter our author name if we want to. We're going to use the runtime and compiler, which is recommended for most users, and we are going to install Vue router. We are going to use ESLint to lint our code, so we've got nice, clean, tidy code, and we're going to pick the standard preset just here. We're not going to be setting up unit tests in this instance, and we're also not going to be setting up end-to-end tests as well. So the next option is, do we want the Vue CLI to automatically install our dependencies? Yes, you can either use npm or yarn. I'm going to use npm here. So we're going to wait for this to finish, cd into that directory, run the dev server, and we will have our Vue project created. Okay, so let's go and cd into the hang with directory and do an npm run dev. Now, there is actually an issue with Webpack dev server at the moment, which depending on when you're watching this course will or won't be a problem for you. If I just go ahead and run this, you can see we get a huge error out here. Now, this is listed in the Webpack dev server issues over on GitHub, but to get around this, what I'm going to do is just do an npm install on Webpack dev server on its own, wait for this to go ahead and finish, and then we're going to switch the version over, delete our node modules, and reinstall them just so we have a kind of fresh node modules package. So if we just come over to package.json and come down to Webpack dev server, this is only if you are seeing this issue, so don't worry too much if you're not. We're going to go ahead and switch this over to the last working version, which is 297, and we're also going to get rid of this as well because that's not going to pull in the exact version that we've specified. So let's go ahead and delete our node modules, and we will go ahead and do a fresh npm install on this. Again, if this does work for you when you run npm run dev, then you don't need to follow these steps. This is just a very temporary, hopefully, issue with Webpack dev server. Okay, so now that's finished, let's run npm run dev, and what we should see is our project start to compile and our development server boot up on localhost 8080. So let's go ahead and grab this link, come over to the browser, and we should see our new Vue project working. Great, so if you're used to Vue CLI, then feel free to move on to the next video where we're going to look at installing Vuex, but I'm going to guide you through this if you are new to Vue command line interface and the Webpack template that it installs. So when we run, for example, Webpack dev, npm run dev, this goes ahead and uses Webpack dev server and uses the Webpack dev config Webpack configuration. So if we just head over to this over in build, this is just a standard Webpack template and it uses dev server, and you can see all the options here. You can change these around if you need to. We do have courses on Webpack, so I'd highly recommend if you do want to kind of dive into the source code of this just to familiarize yourself with what is exactly going on here. But the most important part for this, once you've kind of understood the Webpack part, is the source directory just here. Now we have a main entry point to our application. What this is doing is it's going ahead and pulling in Vue, pulling in this app component here, which we'll take a look at in a second, and also pulling in Vue router, which has been separately installed as well. And this is just creating a new Vue instance and binding to this app element, which lives over in the index.html file just here. So this is where all of our content will be kind of injected into, and any built files like our JavaScript or CSS will be automatically injected into this template as well. So if we head over to app.vue, there's not really too much going on here. We just have the logo at the top, which we can see up here. We have a root of Vue. Now, root of Vue is, of course, just to show you which page you're on. So any component that matches any of our roots will be injected into root of Vue. If we head over to our router and over to index.js, notice here that we are creating a new router, exporting it from this file, which is subsequently being used over here inside of Vue, and all we're doing is matching the path to the hello world component, which if we come over to the components directory is just over here. So this is pretty much what we see on the page. Now that is pretty much it, to be honest. That's how simple this template by default is when we set it up. There is a lot more going on here, so I'd recommend if you are very new to this, just have a really good look around, and if you really don't know what's going on, follow the basic Vue courses that we have. So now that we've got Vue CLI set up, we've had a little chat about what's going on here, we can move over to the next part and install Vuex, which is going to be fundamental to making our multi-room chat work really nicely.